Hello everybody, Richie from C&K Motorsport here. Let's go ahead and have a look at our Saudi Arabia Grand Prix review. And so we get to Saudi Arabia and the third leg of F1's first triple header for the season. A fast mix of straights and corners that really showcases the speed of current Formula One. Heading into this weekend with the storylines that will dominate all season. Can Red Bull bounce back? How will the Oscar versus Lando fight play out? And which Ferraris will turn up? All questions were answered pretty quickly with one little quirk thrown in. Pierre Gasly topping the timesheets after FP1 was on no one's 2025 bingo cards, I'm sure. Despite the fast and furious layout of the Jeddah track, most were behaving for the 3 practice sessions, with the exception of Yuki Tsunoda, who after the slightest of touches, bent his steering arm, sending him into the wall during FP2. Lando Norris would lead Piastri in all 3 sessions, and it's becoming quite a theme, was fast in the sessions with no pressure. That would change during qualifying when in Q3 he ran wide and over the curbs, eventually finding the wall and 10th position to start the race. Verstappen doing Verstappen things put in a mighty last run effort to not only grab pole but slam the door shut on a horrible Bahrain weekend. Piastri in second, followed by George Russell in third, with Charles Leclerc in fourth, with his teammate Lewis Hamilton over half a second behind in 7th position. The second weekend in a row that Norris would be starting outside the top 5, and something that surely would be noticed by those on the pit wall at McLaren. To the race, and a Verstappen-Piastri front row had everyone licking their lips. A short run to a tight left-hander meant there was always going to be trouble on the first lap. And in a surprise to absolutely no one, there was. With Piastri getting the better start of the two, he claimed the inside line for the first corner, taking a cautious approach and meaning Max would need to brake to make the corner. And again, Max being Max, he didn't brake and ran wide, taking the lead. Now I'm going to pause the race review here for a comment and opinion. Max ran wide and deserved a 5-second penalty for not handing the position back. I've got no problems with the penalty, but there was more to this. This was a test by Max to see where Oscar is at mentally. A test Oscar passed. Max knows Oscar's a problem in his title defence, and just like in Austin last year to Lando, he was seeing where he's at. I think this was a sign that Max thinks Piastri is the bigger threat out of the 2 McLaren drivers. Anyway, that's just my observations, and now back to the race review. The safety car was deployed after Tsunoda and Gasly's slightest of contacts sent them into the wall, meaning the pack would be bunched up again nice and tight. Lando Norris's charge from 10th was momentarily halted when he and Lewis played DRS chasey for 2 laps, but he was showing good pace on the hard compound tyres, and he started the race on and hunted down Kimi Antonelli pretty quickly thereafter. The round of pit stops came, and due to a slow stop, Oscar Piastri continued his out-and-out bullying of Lewis Hamilton this year by putting on another ridiculous passing manoeuvre around the outside of turn 22. A fast, sweeping right-hander where he had next to zero grip and, to be completely honest, absolutely no right to overtake him there. This overtake was in stark contrast to Lando's previous attempt at clearing Hamilton in what seemed it took like a full working week to get past him. Verstappen would serve his 5-second penalty in the pits, rejoining behind Piastri, and to be honest wouldn't get near enough to him for the rest of the race, with Piastri controlling the gap perfectly. Norris would eventually climb to 4th, but couldn't quite get the job done on Leclerc, giving Ferrari their first podium for the season, obviously not including what must now seem like a dream when Hamilton won the sprint. So Piastri wins ahead of Verstappen in second, with Charles in third. The first win not from pole for the season, and the 25 points Oscar received, taking him to the top of the standings for the first time not only this season, but in his F1 career. The first time an Aussie has led the championship since his manager Mark Webber did in Japan in 2010, before he'd go on to completely shit the bed and finish third that season. So do my takeaways from Jeddah. Lando or Oscar? With 5 rounds down and Oscar's third win for the season, there's a growing elephant in the McLaren room, and it's wearing a fluorescent yellow helmet. Mistakes 2 weekends in a row now by Lando. It could have been even worse with a lock-up into pit lane. All while Oscar just gets the job done. Has to have the McLaren team thinking longer term for this season. And while yes, it's still very early in a 24-race season and only a 10-point lead, surely the signs are leaning towards Oscar being the man to lead McLaren to their first driver's title in 17 years. Red Bull, not done yet. While all the championship talk is about which McLaren driver will win, Max Verstappen and Red Bull continue to show they're in the fight. After a pretty forgettable weekend in Bahrain, the Milton Keynes team bounced back, and in a season that is looking track dependent for speed, haven't left the conversation just yet. Okay, so that's our first triple header down for the season, and time for a break. The racing returns in Miami for round 6. Miami, the home of Lando's first win, neon paint schemes and cringe. That's it for our Saudi review. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed what you've seen. As always, please give us a follow on Instagram if you're not already, at C&K Motorsport. Thanks for watching, and ciao.